So, UNC 6671. Initial access operations rely on high-volume voice phishing or vishing, often characterized by meticulous social engineering tactics, synchronized with real-time credential harvesting. These phishing calls are typically made by callers hired by the threat actor. So what those guys do, they just call employees and they persuade them to give out the login or MFA, and that's basically it. This is very important. They don't hack anything, they don't exploit vulnerabilities, they just persuade people. GTIG assesses that the group has targeted dozens of organizations across North America, Australia and the UK. So just try to imagine how much sensitive corporate data was stolen through a voice call. The group primarily targets Microsoft 365 and Okta infrastructure, leveraging Python and PowerShell scripts to programmatically exfiltrate sensitive corporate data for subsequent extortion attempts. They appear to be focused on those environments, using compromised accounts to access SharePoint, OneDrive, and other connected SaaS applications such as Zendesk and Salesforce. In several instances, the actors specifically queried internal search functions for string literals such as confidential and SSN to prioritize theft of perceived high-value data. So basically, they logged in as a real employee and used the company's own search bar to find the most sensitive files in the building. The tools were doing exactly what they were designed to do, they were just doing it for the wrong person. So let's walk through how they actually got in. Step 1. Pretext call. The callers often call targeted employees' personal phones to bypass security tooling and move the victim away from the standard support channels. They typically masquerade as internal IT or help desk personnel, citing a mandatory migration to passkeys or a required multi-factor authentication update. So that pretext is clever because it does two jobs at once. It explains why you should go to this login page, and it pre-explains any weird security alerts you might see later. Of course you're getting security prompts, you are setting up your account, right? Step 2. Fake login pages. The group has shifted from unique organization-tailored credential harvesting domains to a subdomain-based model. Recent campaigns have used subdomains explicitly referencing passkeys or enrollment themes to enhance the legitimacy of the help desk pretext. So this is actually very clever because every one of those words matches the "we are upgrading your security" story they just told you on the phone. Step 3. Real-time MFA interception. The vishing call functions as a live adversary in the middle attack. The process follows a rapid procedural lifecycle: redirection, credential capture, MFA bypass, device registration. So the victim is directed to a fake login page, they input their username and password, and the threat actor captures this and then submits them to the legitimate SSO provider, and when the legitimate portal issues an MFA challenge, the victim, believing they are completing the setup, provides the code or approval to the threat actor. The speed of the execution ensures the threat actor can establish a permanent foothold before the victim or the organization's security operations center can identify the anomaly. Step 5. Theft. Once the attackers are inside, they stop clicking around like human and switch to scripts, Python, PowerShell, Microsoft Graph API calls. And also the interesting part is that instead of hitting the normal download button, which logs a file downloaded event, the actors reused valid session cookies to fetch files directly. That gets logged as file accessed instead. The direct fetch method naturally blends into routine traffic, which may bypass detection in many SOCs that prioritize file downloaded events and treat file accessed as benign. But the scripts left fingerprints. The audit logs showed user agents like Python requests and Windows PowerShell, even though the app claimed to be Microsoft Office. That mismatch is the tell. Microsoft Office doesn't browse SharePoint using a Python library. And additionally, these access attempts consistently originated from non-standard infrastructure, such as commercial VPN exit nodes and hosting providers. And finally, the extortion. UNC 6671 conducts highly targeted extortion campaigns, beginning with unbranded ransom notes. Once a victim engages via the unique encrypted communication channel, such as talks or session, provided by the threat actor in the initial ransom node, the operators identify themselves under the BlackFile brand. They typically open negotiations with initial demands in the millions of dollars. They often pivot to low six-figure demands when met with active engagement. Notably, while the initial emails typically do not contain errors, at least some follow-up emails have contained mistakes suggesting that those are human-generated. And in cases where the operator is met with silence or resistance, The group aggressively escalates the pressure. They also send threatening voicemails to C-suite executives, and in severe cases utilizing swatting tactics against company personnel. And here's the main idea of the whole thing. These compromises are not the result of a security vulnerability in vendor products or infrastructure. Instead, this campaign continues to highlight the effectiveness of social engineering. So how do you actually stop this? Well, every technical control in this story was working. MFA was on, the real SSO portal was the real portal. What failed was that the person didn't recognize they were being socially engineered. So that is the thing that you have to train. And the good news is that it is trainable, because this attack is not improvised. It runs on a script, and a script has tells. Now, here's the single most important thing to drill into people. If anyone on a call asks you to approve an MFA prompt or read back a code while they walk you through some setup, that is not setup, that is the attack. Real IT never needs you to read them a code. So the trained reaction is simple and frankly a little boring. Stop, hang up, call IT back on a number you already trust, not the one the caller gave you. Verifying out-of-band beats trying to outthink a convincing stranger in real time, every time.